Hey guys, welcome back to Kristen Live Acres. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I am going to prepare my garden for spring planting. And the first step in doing that is I'm letting my chickens kind of forage around and eat some of the weeds and do a little digging and help me clean up. So let's get into it. Alright, so I will show you why I plant certain vegetables in certain areas. And you'll be able to tell the difference in the signs of what I had planted there by the amount of sun they got. Here is the other one. This side gets much less sun, if you couldn't tell. And I'll explain why I plant what I plant where. That is a big difference. You can't even see what this was. I know what it was tomatoes, but obviously that was cucumbers. Nifty piece of information for you is just because certain vegetables are planted on this side and certain ones are planted on this side, it actually changes. So it's a great way to figure out where you're getting the most sun. Obviously the ones that you can see or not see are where you're getting sun and you're not getting sun. Kind of helps you plan for the next year. So when you're doing your vegetable planting, which I have a video about, I'll try to link it above. Last video, for some reason it wouldn't do that for me, but the only one I left up is the jalapenos because they usually winter pretty well and they've only been there one season, so I'm not going to move them. I'm just going to go ahead and add some extra seeds to that area and continue to let them grow, and I'll move them next year. So I left that sign up. So you want to use that information for your particular garden, wherever it's at, and then know what kind of vegetables need more sun or more heat than others. Which ones aren't tolerant of a lot of sun or extreme heat. And that will help you keep your garden growing longer in the summer depending on where you live. I'm in zone 9 in Northwest Florida. So my last frost date is February 17th. So I'll probably, depending on the weather pattern, that's just an estimate, depending on the weather pattern in the next few weeks, I may plant a week early, I may plant a week later. It just depends on, kind of what our average temperatures are. I'm going to let the girls continue to do a little weed eating for me, and then I'll show you guys the seedlings that I've started in peat pots indoors and kind of what they look like after a few days, and then I'm going to have to redo some signs. Alright, we'll see y'all in a minute. In preparation for planting my spring crops, I need to replace the hose that is attached to my automatic water timer. As you can see, it is completely rotted. I have tried several different kinds of hoses, and it doesn't matter how much you spend, or at least it doesn't seem to. I've bought the really nice heavy-duty ones. I've bought, the cheaper ones. They all just seem to rot, so I just replace them every year. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that from the sprinkler. So I removed that from, which I'll show you on the other side, from my multiple head sprinkler hose. I'm going to attach the new one. Yeah, it looks like this is probably going to need some new batteries, but that's to be expected. This thing runs all summer long, and in Florida that's a long time. Generally we get about a to 9 month, if not longer, growing season. This definitely works hard. Okay, let's see. Alright, no leaks, so we're good there. And we're just going to bring it over here. You don't need a very long one. Well, I guess I don't, depending on where the nearest water source is to where your garden or your garden spigot is for your water. Alright, and I'm just going to put this right through here. However, I cannot reach the inside of it from here, so I'm just going to kind of tuck this under a little bit. Try to keep a little bit out of the sun if possible. It's really hard to find anywhere that there's not a ton of sun here in Florida, so let's go ahead and move the camera. Add the hose through my little chicken wire setup here I've got. And I'm just going to go ahead and plug it, or not plug it, screw it in to, I just want to make sure I'm getting all these threads in correctly so we don't have a bunch of leaks. Otherwise it's going to be really wet here and the water's not going to get through the rest of the hose to the rest of my plants. Can't talk today. Okay. Now I'll have to test this, but I'm going to rebury this, but I want to leave it up above the ground so that you guys can kind of see what the system looks like while it's working. So we're going to test for leakage, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's watering. Alright, so I can already see there's a leak, so let's go check out what's going on. Still a little bit of a leak, but I'm going to show you guys how this works. Okay, so like I said, this is called a drip irrigation system, and I don't know if you can tell, I tried to get a real close-up, but basically instead of just soaking them, it slowly drips out through this hose that has tiny little holes. If for some reason you're not getting enough water pressure, you can always add a few holes or make a few larger, but you don't want to do it too much or it's going to change the rate of which the rest of the vegetables are watered. So I'm going to hold this up so you guys can kind of get an idea. So it's just a very light drip, but it does soak the ground. You leave the water on a little bit longer, but it doesn't take any more water. It's just a slower progressional drip. So that'll be buried just about maybe an inch or two below the soil, closer to the roots, because a lot of vegetables, leaves can get diseased when you water from above. So that is why I chose to do the drip irrigation. Alright, so I'm going to turn off the water and try to fix this main leak. I fixed it a little bit, but it still has some room for improvement. And then I'll show you guys my seedlings. So I don't know if you guys can tell or see it very well, but the girls, my hens, have apparently found a spot where there are some bugs lurking below the weeds. So they're clearing all that up and having a little snack. And they've got quite a little hole going there. So the good news about that is, though, that they're bringing up the probably more nutrient-rich soil and compost and kind of mixing it around, which is what they're really good at. So I just find it very funny. And then I've got this one over here who's trying to get its head through the chicken wire to eat the weeds on the other side. So it's very entertaining. Alright, we'll let them work a little bit longer in there. Normally where I keep my seedlings when they are starting out is near the dishwasher because it stays warm. And I've got a pantry or cabinet space with door handles that I can hang this from and plug it in right there. However, my dishwasher's running and it's very loud and I think it's going to interrupt some of the audio in this video. So these are the seedlings that I started. Some of these have been soaked and some have not. I've written on them. The ones that were soaked on the 13th, and Today I believe is the 16th, so almost 3 days. I think I soaked them at night, and so it's only about 3 here my time. So these have done the best so far, and they were soaked. These are Scarlet Globe Radish. So I don't know if you can see that. And then I've got California poppy seeds, flowers. Of course, you need flowers to attract the bees so they can pollinate your vegetables. Not all of them need pollinated, but a lot of the ones that I do need pollination. You can self-pollinate, but I've got a whole nother video on that. It's not as easy as it sounds. You can actually disrupt and ruin the, what's it called? The pollen flower in the middle. Anyway, okay, I've got green onion, which really haven't done much of anything yet. Oh, these are jalapeno seeds from last year's harvest, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in the camera, but they are starting very slowly to bloom. And then I've got sweet basil, which I did not soak because that's one of the herbs that does better if you don't soak it, but nothing's really going on there yet. This is very early in the game, so let's see. This is Black Beauty eggplant. Not really anything happening there. Cilantro, that's actually, for me at least, it seems to be one of the slower growing herbs. Oh, those are the poppy seeds. And then I've got bell peppers, which are kind of starting. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up though. They're very tiny. These are starting to seed. These are beets. And I'm going to try to bring it up closer, but unless you really know what you're looking for, you may not be able to see them. So let me see if I can bring it up a little closer. All right. And then here I've got cucumbers, which are not, I actually have seeds I've saved from past harvests of jalapenos, but these ones I wrote just to see the difference are from the package. And they were soaked as well. However, one seed looks like it's not going to do anything. You'll be able to see it in there. And I haven't seen much progress here yet. But like I said, it's only day 3. Not even really 72 hours. I have not given them any light, but probably tomorrow morning I'm going to put them under this light to start out, probably about 4 hours. Then I'm going to move up to 6 hours after maybe 3 days, and then 9 hours, and then really by the time basically 16 hours is the full spectrum of sun they should be getting. This is a full spectrum UV light. LED with the multi-spectrum colors that help lights grow. There's red, yellow, green, blue, purple. So the reason you do that is because if you expose them to sunlight too quickly, it actually will make them really leggy and they don't have much of a root system. And I use these peat pots because basically, well, you can just plant them in the ground, but I like to take a small section of the bottom off and plant them in the ground so that you're not disrupting their root system. All right, let's move on to my signage that needs a little work. These signs are good to go. These will be things that I will plant, but some of these signs I will not put up yet because I'm not sure where in the garden I'm going to put them. I need to zone it out again, and based on what got the most sun and less sun, I'm going to kind of make a little map of my garden. But these two were completely bleached out, which is amazing. I mean, not in a good way, but just amazing how much sun they got. And I know, like some of these vegetables it's too early to plant them. So that's why I've started the specific seedlings I've started here. I know one of them, oh, not that, this one, the eggplant, the Black Beauty eggplant. I do not have an eggplant sign, so I'm going to go ahead and make that. And then after, this is just a painter marker. And then after I write it on there and let it dry really well. I take a clear UV spray coat and cover it. So even with all of that, these still bleached out. I'm going to go ahead and do the eggplant. You can see it's not perfectly spaced. I'm not much of an artiste, so and really, besides a few YouTube videos and maybe a friend coming over to visit, nobody really sees them but me. The reason I do these signs is when you first transplant your seedlings, this goes all the way into the ground and you can no longer see what you've labeled them as. And until they actually become a full-blown plant, sometimes it's hard to remember what you planted where. And it also reminds me where I had things the previous year and how to switch them around. Because certain vegetables and other plants take more nutrients out of the soil than others, or they take different nutrients out of the soil than maybe their counterpart. And it's just important to constantly rotate, whether it's every year or every other year, whatever, you know, you feel is necessary. Just one more time, make sure it has plenty of color and paint. And let that dry probably at least 2 hours. Normally these dry pretty quick, but before I put that spray UV coat, clear coat on, I want to make sure they're absolutely completely dry, because that just gives it a better chance of lasting at least throughout this growing season. One, like I said, nothing really pretty. It's actually not even really even on the board, but that's okay because I'm more of a gardener than I am an artist. So it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and make my next one, which I don't have a sign for beets. So let's see, I'm going to do the beets in purple. That's it for today's video. I hope you got some good information on how to prepare your vegetable garden for the spring planting season. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and then click the bell notification, select all so you don't miss any of my future videos. See y'all next time.